I'm Ed Bronk. This is podcast number 66, um, titled Loretta Young Exclaimed Tyrone Power is Prettier Than She Is. Okay. This is coming from the book Behind the Door, The Real Story of Loretta Young, which is available to you as a paper book, um, ebook, and audiobook. So after 20th Century merged with Fox Studios, Daryl Zanuck moved his major production work from Sam Goldwyn Studios to the Fox Studios lot on Pico Avenue in Los Angeles. Shirley Temple was the studio's biggest moneymaker and was awarded her own bungalow. Loretta, the reigning queen as far as adult stars, was assigned the number one dressing room. She recalled, the new dressing room had an office, a kitchen, a large living room, and an alcove off of that, and a bath. Then there was a portable dressing room that I used on the set. She continues, you surrounded yourself with as many niceties as you could because at that time we all thought the more you felt like a star, the more you acted like a star, and the better actress you were. I must say, I enjoyed all that part of my career. You get spoiled very easily. There was a wardrobe woman to dress you, a makeup person to put your face on, a hairdresser and a stand-in, and they all liked you or they wouldn't be working for you. Then there was Pat Palamonson, my studio driver. Loretta had just bought a Cadillac Town Car. Back to her voice. That's all Pat did was take care of me. I also hired a cook who came in at 8 in the morning. She prepared coffee and donuts for the entire crew, and Pat brought it to the set. She stayed and cooked lunch for me and whoever else I invited into my dressing room. Except for the cook, the studio picked up the tab for Loretta's entire entourage. Now, Ladies in Love starred three of the 30's top leading ladies, Loretta, Janet Gaynor, and Constance Bennett. Playing opposite Loretta was a newcomer named Tyrone Power. We called Loretta. I think the crush started the moment I saw him. He was unbelievably good to look at, and with a great smile and a great laugh. Audience liked the chemistry between Loretta and Tyrone in Ladies in Love, and Zanuck was happy to give them more. Ever since the success of Frank Capra's had happened one night, all the studios were dishing out comedies to depression-weary audiences, which detailed the chase between a flip, spoiled heiress and an equally flip, somewhat unscrupulous, but very handsome leading man. Loretta recalled her mindset during the filming of Love Is News. Now, as far as I was concerned, I was Barbara Hutton, but she was the heiress to Woolworth fortune. But I had more humor and a sense of fun. Now, Loretta and Tyrone were both 23. It was the first time since her teen years that she had a serious crush on someone her own age. Loretta recalled, I dated him as often as I could. In those days, a woman had to wait until a man asked her out. Believe me, if I wouldn't have been so embarrassed, I wouldn't have given him one moment's peace. Now, Loretta's character in Love Is News allowed her to push her performance beyond the usual leading lady part. She commented, that character was a lot more daring, more sophisticated. She was just more. Loretta's screen persona in Love Is News was so worldly compared to the little girl of her silent pictures. That transition definitely reflected the evolution of the real Loretta from when she first went under contract, living and working in the movie business in those 10 years in between, all the exposure to the glamour and attention had made a very sophisticated 23-year-old. A little note here. I foolishly challenged Loretta that she could have been so mature at 23. She didn't back off. I don't know what I was thinking. Just the drama of her relationships with Spencer Tracy and her secret baby with Clark Gable would explain why she would be very different after those two chapters in her life. Okay, back to Tyrone Power. And even though he was the third generation of an acting family, he was fairly new to the status of celebrity life for himself. Loretta recalled. He wasn't quite as sure of himself as he wanted to appear, because a lot of the time he would have a stand-in, who was a friend of his, call me and say, Tyrone wants to know if you got a date for tonight. If I had, I'd say, well, yes, I have. If I hadn't, he'd say, good. He wants to know if you want to go down to the village theater and see. And I'd say, he's there, put him on. Then he'd get on the phone and I'd say, well, yeah, I'd love to go. What's playing? You see, that way, if I did have plans, Tyrone wouldn't have got the rejection his stand-in would have. I found Tyrone very romantic. He loved spouting poetry, and he sent me sweet notes on and off the set. He always sent flowers and a little bag of candy. I told him once how I loved English toffee, and he kept me supplied. We played together a lot on the set. Here's another note based on my observation. Even if Loretta was sophisticated beyond her years, as she claimed, her romantic nature would stay with her throughout her life. The same romantic nature that started back in her teen years. Now, back to Loretta's memories. As she recalled the first time that she looked at Proust, George Hurrell had shot of her and Tyrone. I said to myself, why, he's prettier than I am. He was, too. Those eyelashes, his skin, the bone structure, even his eyelids. I thought they were just beautiful. His skin was always squeaky clean. He didn't wear makeup sitting for stills, but he used it on the set. And I'd say, take that makeup off. You look so much better without it. But at that time, he was still overawed by the rules and regulations of the studio. 11 News was a huge success. It would be Loretta's biggest moneymaker, making film of the 30s. Zanuck wasted no time in pairing Loretta and Tyrone in Cafe Metropole. Said Loretta, same story, just a different cast. I made so many of these pictures that I used to even, sometimes it was just the same cast as well. She was then cast in two comedies, which were released in the summer of 1937, Love Under Fire and Wife, Doctor, Nurse. In the latter, Virginia Bruce, who was the second female lead, Loretta reminisced about Virginia. She was scared to death of me. She told me she was. I said, there's nothing to be scared of. Just go along with me. I can't help it if I talk faster than you do. Just take your time, and then you'll stand out. She said, well, you're just so sure of yourself. Contrast this to Loretta, the young Loretta, who tried to fade back into her seat so that the nun wouldn't call on her to read. It was only now, in her mid-20s, that she learned about dyslexia. Loretta commented, I finally understood why I hadn't been able to spell or read, because I was seeing the same letters backwards. Some letters backwards. Ironically, Loretta's deficiency in reading and spelling only added to her determination to be an actress. And it was her recognized success as an actress that contributed to Loretta's self-assurance as an adult. Loretta and Tyrone Power made Second Honeymoon, another comedy. Loretta remembered her first line of dialect. We were at a dance, and I'm wearing this beautiful white dress, and I'm out on the balcony alone. And Tyrone comes out wearing a white dinner jacket, and he looks marvelous. I look at him and I say, Raoul. That was his name, but I couldn't say it without laughing. It was such a funny name for Tyrone. It sounded like I was growling every time I said it. Raoul. Loretta remembered something else about that first day. They had plucked Tyrone's eyebrows. I had loved his eyebrows. They were like one big, beautiful bird hovering across his brow that had softened the blackness of his eyes. Now there was a large blank space between each brow. I said, Tyrone, what have they done to your eyebrows? He said, does it matter? Tyrone was so good looking, so nice, and he didn't have to do anything. Life came to him and just carried him along. That's really not good for a man. In podcast 67, Tyrone exits Loretta's life and her wayward father returns with an SOS. So see you at 67. Thanks.